Good morning, screenwriters. So this morning we're going to be talking about introductions. There's obviously a lot of different ways that you can introduce your script. Some of them more effective than others. And particularly when you're looking at different types of story worlds, sometimes this can be quite a tricky technique to master so that the reader knows where they are and can orientate themselves and understands the world quickly. We're going to be looking at 5 different scripts, and because the internet loves lists, 5 different ways that you can introduce your story world in under 5 minutes. So this is the first page of Get Out by Jordan Peele. What's great about this page is how it establishes its story world with clarity and brevity. Keeping it simple here is really effective. Jordan Peele uses just a single word for his location slugline. Suburban is kind of all that's necessary for the story. It gives us a picture in our heads and a feeling without getting too specific, which is actually what you want for Get Out, since it's a satire about American society in general. Also, you don't need to go into a lot of flowery details. Suburban tells the production team, the director, the location scout enough, really, and lets them fill in the details. We might assume we're in the present day. We don't really get any thing else to suggest to the contrary. We read he's talking on his phone, so that kind of supports that assumption. The dialogue is also pretty distinctive. Sick individual here kind of places us in a time. Creepy, confusing ass. Suburbs, again, does the same. I think those phrases tell us a lot about the speaker too, the kind of person he is. He's got a sense of humor, but it also suggests he's a little weirded out, like he doesn't feel at ease in the suburbs. So most of all, this is kind of something different that we haven't seen before, which is why it's so intriguing. Next up, we have True Grit by the Coen brothers. Here, voiceover is used to establish the story. There's a directness to it. A young girl will go off in the wintertime to avenge her father's blood. So right away we know what the story is about. We also know the era through the use of language and detail. Avenge isn't a modern word. California gold pieces, his horse. We know we're in the Old West here, and that's supported by some direct references in the Coen's action, scene description, and slug lines. We also get some little details like boarding house, so we really know where we are straight away here, which is great. Continuing the Coen's theme, this is episode 1 of season 3 of the TV show of Fargo, which of course is based on the Coen's movie of the same name. Noah Hawley, the writer, really just spells out the story world to us at the offset. He puts it right here in the slug line. We're in East Berlin, it's 1988. We're in a Stasi interview room. And I mean, why not be so specific like this, especially when the specifics and the time of the place are important to the story. That's the case in anything like historical pieces, biopics, or anything based on real life. Another TV show, the pilot of Breaking Bad by Vince Gilligan. The teaser here is a TV-specific piece of formatting. So establishing, in this case, is all about establishing a humorous story world. Cow Pasture is kind of a funny location. We're focusing on cow shit. That's setting up a tone. And then there's also tone in the language and action description. We got things like this Winnebago that's being driven is speeding smack dab. That kind of gives a sense of pace, and the wheels of the Winnebago spray a rooster tail of red dirt, which is just really visual. Love it. Finally, we have E.T. the Extraterrestrial by Melissa Matheson. Here we have a great example of establishing a story world with purely visual storytelling. This is where the screenwriter thinks about a film just like it's a silent film. The series of images we see here tells us everything. We begin with a black screen that becomes a night sky, and then the stars begin to poke through. We move into space. We see a crescent moon, and then we kind of move down through the treetops into a redwood forest, telling us we're probably in California. And suddenly then we see this strange light coming through the trees, which is revealed to be a spaceship that gently floats down to a landing site. This is in some ways the most visceral and impactful form of storytelling available to the screenwriter, and it really just is very effective. So most of all, what I hope you've learned is that each particular story world really dictates how it establishes itself. That's where things get really creative, because you kind of can't really follow anybody else's example. You really need to figure out how your story world sets itself up, which is the really fun thing. So get out there, create and enjoy some screenwriting. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next time.